Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very pleased to have with us Tabatha Thorell. So let me tell you a little bit about Tabatha. Tabatha Thorell was a native of rural Nebraska, and she is a devoted wife and mother to 5 girls. With a career spanning over 16 years, she began as a fitness coach, earning a reputation for motivation and persistence. Alongside her high school sweetheart, Tabatha has been a successful real estate investor for nearly 2 decades. Beyond fitness coaching, Tabatha is a best-selling co-author, speaker, life and business coach, and her diverse skill set and passion for helping others achieve their dreams has made her a sought-after mentor. Her podcast, What Went Wrong, is where she shares inspiring stories and insights and adds another dimension to her impactful presence. Today, we're going to talk about something I've talked about a couple times on the podcast, and that's generational growth, unveiling the legacy wealth blueprint. So tune in, grab your paper and pencil, and please join me in welcoming Tabatha Thorell. Tabatha, so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much, Vicki, for having me. And yeah, the honor's all mine. Thank you.
So, for me, I'm 65 and on my way closer to 66 now. And so coming from a large family with only a father that worked 3 jobs, for me, I knew it was important to set up that 401k and insurance and all those things so that I wouldn't be in the position that my parents were. But it's so often that you hear younger people not even want to sign up for insurance and things,
right?
That and not think about the end game and that, what can that reoccurring income be? And, so I am anxious to first ask the simple question, where do you live? And please then share your journey that took you to becoming a real estate investor.
Yeah, so I live in rural Nebraska. We're about 40 miles from the Kansas border. So really,
good barbecue.
yes. We are a beef and corn state. My husband farms. He actually farms corn and soybeans. So
nice.
We are high school sweethearts, and we knew that we always wanted to have a family. So when we were in college, my husband was like, hey, I want to buy a house. His dad had started buying some rental properties when he was about 15 or 16, and he helped his dad, was right beside him doing that, helping renovate the homes, manage the homes. And he saw that, and he was like, you know what? I want to have some college students pay my rent, pretty much, because he was going to live in the basement and he was going to rent out the top. And I was in college too, and I was actually living in one of his dad's houses. And I'm like, yeah, go. Like, I love to make old things look new. And so we got this old rundown house, and there was 9 layers of wallpaper that we, steamed off, and we made it look all pretty, and we did all this. And he, got renters, and pretty much him and his brother lived in the basement rent free. And he said it was always funny because he was dealing with parents that were 15, 20 years older than he was. And here he was the landlord. So it was just kind of a, weird dynamic. But we saw the houses as a way to build wealth, or AKA retirement, because he knew that he would most likely farm, or we'd be entrepreneurs, have our own businesses. We knew we weren't going to work for someone. So we knew we weren't going to have that 401k or that Roth IRA. And, like we knew that. And so we were like, let's look at our future and just really put the, flag in the sand and say, hey, let's start building that now, so that our kids won't have to struggle the way that we did or our parents did. Because I'm kind of like you. I'm from a family. I have 4 siblings. I'm one of 5. And my husband has 5 siblings. He's one of 6. And so we had these big families, and both of our dads were extremely hardworking, like some of the most hardworking men. I mean, I live in rural Nebraska. So you're talking farmers, ranchers, electricians, plumbers, like blue collar, up when the sun rises, and they don't come home till the sun sets, And so they're really hardworking, but I saw them struggle financially my whole life. And I thought, you know what? I want something different. And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't have a business background. I didn't have marketing, sales. I actually went to college for marriage and family studies, which is like a precursor to counseling. Like I always thought I'd be a therapist or a counselor. And so, I didn't really know business sense, but I did know one thing. I did not like having a boss. And so I knew I didn't want to work for anybody else. So even if I was going to be a counselor, I was going to be my own. And so that meant a lot of years in school. So I knew if I did that, I was going to have to dedicate myself. And I'll never forget this day. I walked into my advisor's office and I said, okay, I'm getting my degree. It was my bachelor's degree. I said, what's next? I want to be a counselor. I want to help people. I want to help marriages. I knew marriages were a foundation for a strong family. I just really wanted to help people. And she goes, that's awesome, Tab. But I just want to let you know, by the time they get to us, because she was doing counseling as well as a professor. So by the time they get to us, it's usually too late.
Sadly true.
I'm like, no, I want results. I want to help people. I didn't want to just give lip service and just be a step in the process. Like, oh, we go to counseling and we still get divorced. And so I took a step back. I graduated. My husband graduated. We shortly after that got married. We moved back to his hometown. There weren't a lot of job opportunities. And so I was like, okay, what do I want to do? I knew I loved fitness. And so our local YMCA, they had an instructor position. I started at the bottom and got certifications and just fell in love with it and became a fitness instructor, which led to, really engulfing myself in nutrition and supplementation. And I got involved with a direct selling company. And that's when everything changed for us. And I promise this will get to the investing, because along the way we had babies, and along the way we bought more houses, because we knew that we needed to continue to build that wealth. But it wasn't something that was easy, because we didn't have really good mentorship. Even though his dad was doing it, he was doing it very, really bootstrap, and you do everything yourself. And it was a struggle bus. And so,
for sure.
We were looking at this and like, we want more time, but we need to provide for the family, so all of these things, which your audience has, because you have life, and we had bills to pay. And even though we were building for our wealth, we were still trying to figure out how we could do the day to day. And so when I got involved with this direct selling company, what they introduced me to was like leadership training and personal development. And I was home. It was like, hallelujah. I wish I would have found this in college, because I knew that was my happy place, and that I could help people doing that. And so in the direct selling company, I was helping people lose weight, get fit, also earn income, changing lives that way. But what I was doing was I was investing in myself. And this is the key, because when I talk about real estate investing, people always want to know like the houses, the money, this. It was investing in myself and my mind that it was possible that got us to where we are now. And the only thing that I would say that I wish I would have done differently, because I don't really do that game, of like, oh, if I could do things. But if there was one thing, we would have invested more properties sooner, done a little bit more risk. And I searched for a coach and a mentor in the real estate space. I just couldn't find one that met my morals, my ethics, what we really wanted, family oriented. A lot of what I saw at the time was just like, wholesaling and flipping. And we were doing some flips and just this really aggressive way of doing it. And I didn't know how I could do that while I was raising our first 3 kids and stuff. And so we just kind of did it slow and everything ourselves. We property managed
Oh,
everything.
wow.
We fixed everything. We
Oh.
renovated everything. I mean, we were in like late nights, we just did everything ourselves because we didn't know any better. But we did know that we wanted to do this. That was
Yeah.
the one thing. And so we just, we kept doing the hustle and doing the grind and everything. And eventually we got smart and we're like, okay, we gotta build a team. We gotta like outsource this because we want to
Yeah.
grow. And so my husband he stepped away from some of the family business stuff and took on some of his own things. And we had 2 more babies and I was rocking the coaching business and, trying to just supplement some income and do some of that kind of stuff. And then we eventually now, like we have 7 figures in our portfolio. We really want to double that in the next 2 years. And I can say this, that we finally can because of the systems and because of the streamline, because
Yeah.
we couldn't have done that 10 years ago. We just didn't have the right system and processes. And that's what we like to help people with. So they get there faster than what we did. Cause we were on struggle bus for like almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Wow.
just, but that's where we are and we love it. And, nothing happens by chance in my world. And so it's like, we needed to go through some of that stuff, but we just like to help people, cut to the line, to the
Yeah.
front of the line a little bit.
I think a lot of people shy away from doing the real estate investing, because they think, I'm not a construction person. I don't know how to fix things. I don't want to fix things. I don't want people calling me in the middle of the night
Yep.
to fix things. And as you said, that system that you put in place, those people that do that for
Yep.
you, make all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah. Yes. 100%.
So the theme of this is that legacy wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and just talk to us about what that legacy wealth means to you.
Mm-hmm. So for me, when I talk legacy wealth and what that means, we have built this wealth and we did this when we were young. And what the reason we did it was we saw our parents struggle. So my husband and I, like with our kids, they really don't see us struggle. Even though we have struggles and we have financial struggles, our kids don't know about it. We live a very blessed life and they even get more time with us than we did with our parents,
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at this and I think, I don't want this to be lost after 2nd or 3rd generation. When I started researching generational wealth and wealth building, they said by 2nd generation, I think it's 75% of wealth is gone. By 3rd generation, 90% of wealth is gone. And I thought, we are not building these businesses. We are not building this, real estate empire so that it can be wasted away. So what's the difference? So I started looking up like, what breaks families apart, or, swindle the wealth and all of these things. And there are just some common threads that were happening. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, if I could help people at my level, miss this train so that for generations, for 10, 11, 12 generations, it's still in line, what needs to be done. And it's not how to make money. Mm-hmm. Because there's always information out there. Even clear back in the 20s, there were people that knew how to make money and were teaching people how to make money, and it was there. They knew how to do it. So that's not going to change. So what needs to change? Okay, it's the characteristics, it's the intangible, it's the communication, it's the integrity, it's the morals, it's the work ethic. This is one of the reasons why we tell people, when you're investing in real estate, have your first home be a single family home, and maybe even have it be just a little run down. Even if you're scared of the renovations, even if you're like, Tab, I don't know how to do this. Are you kidding me? Even if you hire a contractor, here's what you get to do. When you have your kids and your contractor's working on something, you bring your kids to the job site and you show them this is what needs to be done. And you ask the contractor, hey, can my kid hammer that nail? Or we're going to paint this wall. Even if you're not a good painter, you can come in and paint a wall. You can rip up carpet, like get your feet wet a little bit, roll up the sleeves, even if you're not used to it, even if you're someone who's like, I don't do that. Because there's men out there that they don't like that. They're bankers.
Oh, yeah. I'll hire someone, they say.
I'll hire someone. And that's great. But here's the thing, when you roll up your sleeves, even just for the first job, it teaches your kids to work from the bottom. And if you are a believer, Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. You need to teach your kids and maybe yourself a little bit of humility where you do the work a little bit. I'm not saying long term, don't do it as long as we did. Please don't do it as long as we did. But don't be afraid to get in there, bust a couple walls, give your kids a little hammer, bust through it. You have the contractor there that's going to like fix it and make it better, take the wall completely down. But show them the process, even if it's just for a day, just showing them like, this is what it takes. Like going with them, like having them go with you to pick the property out, get on, now you go down Zillow and just do all this stuff and bring them in on the process. You communicate, you show them, you bring them in on the vision. We just did this with our daughter who's 14, and we talked to her about, buying her first car or buying her first rental property. And before, I'll be honest, I did what every parent did. I just told her, like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And it was just causing this anxiety in her. So finally, I just sat down with her, my husband and I said, tell me what you think it takes to get a rental property. And then I just listened. And she goes, well, you're going to have to work really hard and get lots of money. And then you're going to have to go buy the house. And then you're going to have to be there. And I said, okay, but what if you came to the bank with Daddy and I, and we were your what they call collateral or your backing, and all you had to do was sign a paper? And she goes, what? And I said, yeah, because of the position that you're in, the people whether that's your parent or not, it's all about the people you know. Okay, that's the first piece of advice for your audience. It's the people you know. And then we go and we find a property, and I'll teach you how to do the numbers on a calculator. It's really simple math. And then you tell me if it's a good deal, and we go in, and then we go with our property manager and we tell them, this is what we want. This is how it is. And then they communicate with you if they have any problems. And if you have any issues, guess who you get to come to? Me and Daddy. Like, we are your mentors. We're not going to do it for you, but we are right here, especially if you're in school, especially if you're doing project and something happens. Guess what? We get to be your mentors for that. And it was like a light bulb. She goes, so all I have to do is find the property. And I was like, pretty much. But she made this big mountain, which I think so many people do with buying a property. I don't have the money. I don't have the resource. I don't have the time. I can't do this. I have school. I have a job. I have a family, and it's like, wait a second, but what if you could do it this way? And then all of a sudden it was like the light came and she could see a vision. And then I could just see her spirit. She just was like, okay, so what's the next step? And then I just gave her the one next step. And it wasn't that mountain. That's what legacy wealth is. You teach your kids these little steps. You teach yourself these little steps of wealth building when they're young. And the character of that, again, that's why it's like you do get your feet, a little bit, you roll up your sleeves and you're getting a little bit dirty. You show them those things, because our kids have done that with they've pulled carpet, they've painted, they've nailed, they've done all that stuff. They've grinded, all that stuff. And then now it's like, okay, you know how to do the work. Now we put the processes in place and we just teach them those things. But underneath, it's the character that we're building. We are offering a home for someone who might not be able to have a home. We are making this house look beautiful on a street that it needs it, like God's beauty, like, let's be responsible here with this. We're teaching them those layers with it among the family vision of why we're doing it. We get to do this, and now we get to go to Disney World, or we're doing this, and now we get to go to Hawaii, or we have more time with Daddy, or we get to give back to this community. They have an understanding. Kids, it's not going to be instant. So you have to start layering it when they're young in the understanding of that age level.
Yeah. And for those that maybe are not yet ready to invest, one of the ways you can start teaching is I had my kids work with me on Habitat for Humanity.
Yes.
And
that's awesome.
They learned all the aspects of building a house, of putting a house together. And the other great thing is you were surrounded by people that a lot of times were CEOs and CFOs and people of influence that were mentoring you as you went. And so that's one way that you can do it. My mom's dad built her house. And then he helped build, before he passed, my mom's house. And my husband and I were engaged at the time that house was being built. And so my husband, whose father died when he was a sophomore in high school, his mom just always paid for people to do stuff. And
Yep.
so my husband helped build my parents' house, and now he has remodeled our house several times. And so it's just, as you said, it's just learning, okay, I can do this, I can try it. And when you do have a contractor, knowing that you've pulled up carpet or put in a floor, and if they're taking longer than, if they're being paid by the hour and they're taking
Yep.
longer than it should take them, you can say that with confidence that
Yep.
that's the situation. What is the hardest thing, though, about being an entrepreneur in this family business that you have?
That's such a loaded question, Vicki.
I
Everything
know.
is hard about it. Just keeping the faith that things are going to work out, because whether you're just a business, owner, entrepreneur, even if you have your own career and you have family, people always ask me, how do you balance it? And I'm like, there's really not a balance. It's
No,
just
there's not.
life. It's like some days my work takes a little bit more, some days it doesn't. I am very aware, and I'm very strict with my time, as far as like, I do not put in like 10 or 12-hour days like I normally would. Like, I'm a very much of a workhorse. Like, I will
Yeah, me
go
too.
until the job is done. And my husband is as well, but our kids become the collateral damage to that.
Yeah.
So I've had to train myself and be like, no, I need to be present in the moment. But I also know that I have a gift and I need to hone in on that gift and that craft. And so it deserves time too. And so really managing my emotions about it is a better way to explain that than like balancing it all. It's like, sometimes I wish I was here and sometimes I wish I was there. But in the moment, like right here on this podcast, it's like, it's storming right now, it's raining. And so when I left, my kids were kind of scared. But my daughter, one of my older daughters, is watching them, and I have full confidence that she's going to comfort them. But the little mommy in me wants to just be there and hold them and watch the rain, right? But it's like, I made a commitment. I'm going to follow through. This is why I'm here. And I love it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
regret being here, but it's like being present in that moment. And then just knowing that it's going to work out. Like, whatever I'm doing today, because for me, I just always feel like one step behind,
Yeah.
especially with marketing today. Everything's changing so fast, and there's always this
Absolutely.
next best thing. And you're just feeling like, oh, now I got to learn this thing, or I got to have this thing, or what. And it's just trusting the
Yeah.
process and every step. Because, like I said, we did it really hard for the first 18, 19 years, honestly. And it wasn't until recently that we started hiring a property manager and relieving that stress, because we knew if we wanted to grow, we just, for our sanity reasons, having 5 kids, like, we just needed that. And
Mm-hmm.
so there are some things that I'm like, oh, I wish we would have done this here. That's not going to serve me. So I just look at like, what can I do today to advance my growth? Not looking at it like I'm behind, because that feeling only gives you anxiety. Just look
Mm-hmm.
at it like I'm right where I'm meant to be on purpose. All the mistakes, all the holdups and setbacks and everything was on purpose. And for a
Mm-hmm.
driven, ambitious person, that's hard.
Yeah.
I feel really great about my family and my marriage and my health. And if those things are intact, the
Yeah.
business is just the fun part. I mean,
It
I
is.
know we all need money to live, but like, if you just look at it that way, instead of like the business being the thing that you have to be successful at,
Mm-hmm.
you're really most likely not going to be happy at the end of the day. You might reach that goal, you might have the money success, you might have the fame or the influence, but when you go, I always just think about my eulogy, people at my funeral. It's going to be the people that are closest to me that have the biggest impact. Yeah, a lot of other people might be sad for a day or two, but like, the people that I truly am in life with are the ones that are going to have the biggest impact. So I better keep them as a top priority, because they're worth it.
Yeah, for sure. So you're working with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't always work well.
Yep.
How do you set aside work relationship with husband-wife relationship to keep everything exciting and passionate in your marriage?
I think for us, because we both do have other things, like, I mean, I'm the sole like coach in this, and like I do a lot of speaking, and he farms, and that's his thing. I do not help him farm. I say I am a farmer's wife. I am not a farm wife. Like, I will go and I can help him like lay pipe, and I'll go help him irrigate just to be with him, because we just love to be together. Like, we've been together since I was 15. So like, I just love the guy. Like, and we're enough opposite. So our
Yeah, that's
personalities
true.
are complete opposite. And so I'm very self-aware of me. And so I know if I can be like, overbearing or too strong or what, those things. And so it's like when I'm in the presence of him, his strengths help me in my weaknesses. And so like we really do make a great team in business, because a lot of my weaknesses are his strengths and vice versa. And there's a few areas that we both have weaknesses in. We have to hire it out. We just both know that. We're like, okay, this is not, bookkeeping is not our thing. Accounting is not our thing. Like we, the property manager, keeping everything organized. And so that's why we hire those things out. But we just always go back to it's us. And this was something that was just instilled in me. Like I said, I wanted to be a marriage counselor for this reason. If our marriage isn't working, nothing else is working.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how much money is in the bank, how many kids we have, whatever good service we do. If we're not okay, it's not okay.
Yeah.
And so we just, every night we have time for just us, even if it's like a half hour of our favorite funny sitcom or something like that. We just hang out, we talk about the day. We really try not to like bulldoze each other and just listen to the other person's, stressors. And I've known him for so long that I know when things are off. And then I just go into service mode. Like I just go and I'm here to serve you. How can I put myself, again, it's like the Jesus thing. I think about that. Like, how can I put myself at your feet? Yes, I had a long day. Yes, I was stressed out. Yes, I have the kids. Sometimes do I feel like, hey, can you ask about me? Like all moms do. I'm a little underprepared. But what I felt when I serve in that level of just being like, how can I serve you today? What would help your stress level? It gives me such a good feeling, and it helps get me out of that pity party that I think a lot of, and I'm not like denoting women, like we don't do that on purpose, but it does suck when you do stuff all day long and you don't get a thank you. And you do feel like I get a pity party, and I've been there, but I know that that doesn't serve me in my marriage, because it's not that my husband intentionally doesn't do that. I think about what he has to think about too, and I just did a podcast last week and it talked about this. It's like men and women have this, but men, it's like, you have to be, sensitive enough, but you have to be strong. You have to be home, but you have to work. You have to, go out with the guys, but you can't leave the family. Like they do have all this push and pull. So I think about his brain and what he's doing. And I think, okay, how can I help that? And then in turn, it's the law of reciprocity. Like, because I do that, then he's like, hey, can I give you a foot rub? Or how was your day? Or you had that, podcast today. And so just having those little things is what helps keep us. And I tell him, I tell him like, hey, I'm feeling like low, or I'm feeling like not appreciated. And I just need something today. I'm not shy away. I don't shy away from that. And I know some women are like, well, he should just know. He maybe should, but you know what? That's putting a lot of pressure on somebody else to fulfill a need that I need to express. And it was in the first part of our marriage that was hard for me to ask for help. And now I just tell him, like, I need help, like emotionally or physically or something with the kids. I just ask him, I'm like, I need you, my partner. And please, can you be there for me? And if he can't, he tells me and we talk about it. I think communication is so important. And I know people say that and they're like, you need to communicate. No, like you really need to.
Do.
You need to be clear, and you need to have it come from a place of non-judgment and say, you are my partner. I am drowning. Like I need this. But sometimes women, I'm talking to you, you need to be specific. Like I need you to put the kids to bed tonight so I can have a bath, or I'm really needing a back massage, or I need to just have me and my favorite TV show and some chocolate. I don't know, whatever it is, just be clear,
Yeah. So very true. And I think when we talk about, as we talk about the legacy, and we talked about how you teach the kids the piece of, how to buy real estate and things like that. But I think the lessons that you're teaching them by the way you live, the partnerships that you have, the persistence, all of those are lessons showing them that this isn't a bad life that you have. A lot of kids will say, I am never doing what my parents are doing. I don't want to be my mom. I don't want to be my dad. And so they walk away from this business that you hoped to pass on to them. And I think what you showed them is like, you can help with this business, but this business affords you to also do things you're passionate about. If it's doing nonprofit work, or if it's writing a book, or if it's speaking, or if it's being an actress, whatever, it allows you that opportunity where other careers don't. My husband was a teacher for all of his 40 some years that he taught, and he missed all the recitals. He missed all of the things because he couldn't take a day off. He couldn't leave the kids. And so I always want my kids to have jobs that they can be present when they need to be present. But so I think the example that you're teaching your 5 kids is probably one of the best ones to make them want to keep the legacy of that you're building, is that you're showing them that this is a great way to be both a great parent as well as an impactful business person.
Yes. And that was one of the reasons why from the beginning I wanted to be, a stay-at-home mom or work from home mom, but I also wanted my husband to be present. I didn't want it to just be me. And still, I mean, even 20 years later, like my daughter will be 15 this summer. And even still, like we just had this talk last night. I said, you're still working a lot in this, because in the summer, especially from about April to November, but like the summer months are really hard where we are, just because it gets so hot and they have to irrigate and do all these things. And so he's a one-man show. He does not have hired men. And so he does this all on his own. And I said, we've got to streamline this. So it's this conversation that we still have, this narrative, like, okay, let's get this going. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I'm kind of amping up my coaching business, because I'm like, okay, if we can kind of supplement this, then he can hire out, and, you can have these multiple businesses. And we teach people that with houses too. When you have multiple things, you can kind of borrow from Peter to pay Paul, and you make everything work. And then you have more time, which is the whole point, and it's funny you said the thing about the kids not wanting to, continue the legacy because they're so like, I don't want that. That was one of the top reasons when I looked up the research for generational wealth, is the kids felt so in the dark. They thought that business, that money took my parents away, and that's all I wanted. Even if the mom didn't work, if it caused turmoil in the father-mother relationship, they saw that and they're like, well, I don't want that. Money causes this, or that business causes this. So they like rebelled, or they spent all the money because they had no emotional ties that way to the money. They just wanted it gone. So it didn't, they're like, this is blood money or whatever.
I'm going to be a hippie.
Right, exactly. I'd rather have this. And so like they wanted to sit down, like you need to sit down and communicate to your family, have the family vision of like, this is why we're doing this. And my kids say that too, like, Dad's not here. And I'm like, I know, but guys, if we want to build this house, if we want to do these things, and we're working on getting him home more so that we can do this, but just expressing those things, and that, okay, if we're going to, take this vacation, we might have to work a little bit extra right now. Like, you're going to get time, and, all of these things, we just communicate. It's never perfect. It's not that I want my husband to work his fingers to the bone so we can have our dream home, because in essence, that's a material thing. But we do have dreams and aspirations. And so in order to get that, you do have to sacrifice different things. And so I always think about my dad. My dad was not around a lot. He had to work crazy hours. My mom was sick. We had a lot of medical bills. So he was gone all the time. And all I knew was that I hated my dad because all I wanted was time with my dad. And I wanted him to not be stressed out and take an interest in me. And as a child, those wounds were like embedded in me, and still they come up as an adult. And so I look at this and I think, for my kids, I'm like, with my dad, it wasn't that I wanted him around 24/7. I don't think I could have stand him for 24/7, but I wanted intentional time. I wanted him to ask about me. How was my day? What did I have going on? I wanted him to know my favorite color, my favorite food. So, parents on there, I'm not asking you to quit your job and just be a stay-at-home parent. Like, you have to feed your family. You have dreams. It's okay that you want to build an amazing house for them. That's totally fine. But then take those intentional moments. And that's what my husband does. He is an amazing father, even though he still can work, some 14, 16-hour days. They love him and have a great relationship because from the beginning, we were super intentional about it. And then when we do have time with them, we're with them. Like, we are intentional. We're not like looking over here and thinking about this. We are in it. We play hard. When we do family vacations, we go hard at it. So it's about intentionality too. Because I know sometimes when you're in it, especially when you're building a business, you don't have the luxury of, only working part-time or having this abundance of time with them, but you can definitely have intentional time where your kids feel seen, known, and loved, because that's all they really want.
Right. Well, time has flown by. We covered quite a lot, but for those that are listening, you should have got some great notes now. But if you didn't, go grab that paper and pencil so that you can get the contact information and be able to connect with Tab. So the website is keeplegacywealth.com. And Facebook, you can search her name, Tabatha Thorell, but Tab Thorell is also how you can get her, find her on Facebook. On LinkedIn, she is Tabatha-Thorell- and some numbers. Just search Tabatha Thorell, you'll find her. Easy as that. Instagram, she's Tab Thorell, and you can find her on TikTok at Coach Tabatha Thorell. And again, that's at Coach Tabatha Thorell. On YouTube, just search at Tab Thorell. And I'm going to turn it over to Tab to just talk to you about what you can find when you go to her website and what social media she spends the most time in. So Tabatha, it's all yours.
Yeah. So Keep Legacy Wealth, you can go, and right now, whenever this airs, we have a free group of legacy wealth builders where you can come and you're going to get how you can start buying your income property. So your first income property, your second income property, and come. You're going to meet other like-minded people. It's a free resource, free group for you guys. I take it step by step, and I just make it bite-sized bits, because I feel like, especially in a free group, it's like you just need to take that first little leap. And then there's also a free resource on there that you can download and get. It's the 5 things that I look for when we buy an investment property. So it's just really breaks it down for people, because that's a question we get a lot. Like, well, what do I buy? Where do I buy? How, all the things. And so it's like, I broke it down, just really simple 5 little things that we look for, to just really give you some certainty when you're buying that first property. Because I know it can be kind of scary. And there's a lot of stuff online that you can get, but this just really simplifies it, clears the clutter, like I said. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I've been doing a lot more on YouTube. We also do a podcast called What Went Wrong. And so, like, all our episodes are on there. And I just love that, because you get little insights and stories from other people who have failed. Because I feel like sometimes when we have a failure, we think like, oh, I got to throw in the towel. Oh, I'm miserable, all this stuff. And you hear these other stories and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. And then you just get how they got out of it. So, like, if you're in it, we like that. So that's on YouTube. And I've been doing this next year. There'll be a lot more on YouTube, like free trainings, free resources, things like that will be more on YouTube. I've been utilizing that a lot more lately.
Excellent. And the name of your book that you co-authored?
Speak, Lead, and Impact, Called to Speak, Lead, and Impact. And that's on Amazon. And there's like, I think 15 different authors on there. And what I love about it again is because it's just different perspectives of how you can, if you have a desire to do any of those things, lead or make an impact, even speak, it's like, these are amazing stories that I can help get you there.
Awesome. Well, Tab, it's been really just wonderful chatting with you. I've only had a couple women investors. I actually had I think he was 16, but he started investing when he was 12 or 13, copying his dad's great direction and learned the system so that, obviously a 13-year-old doesn't know how to put up drywall and things like that.
Right.
But he, he's in his now thinking about colleges, and college is going to be all paid for, but it's really not necessary for his career. It's just to round him out, right? So he gets that rounded personality. But anyway, I'm so happy to have you on. I thought everything you said was really spot on. I love that we talked a little bit about the personal side of it, not just the business side. So thanks so much for being a great guest.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Thanks for having me.
And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.